Well, hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope you guys are doing great and ready to do a little painting. Today, I wanted to do a simple, this is a 9 by 12, just a simple little painting to show you how I do my bushes. I'm going to go through and show you what to do, what not to do. And the brushes I use, and the paints and what I'll use for them. Um, First off, with bushes and foliage, bushy type foliage, my go-to brushes are my 1 inch brush, either a Bob Ross, or I love my Bram brush as well. I happen to be holding the Bob Ross. I also love to use the oval brush. Be careful with the oval brush, as it can look cookie cutterish. So if you use it effectively, it's good. So let's get started. Okay, so let's show you what colors I will be using today. We will use Bob Ross Mountain Mix here for the underpainting. I like to use it. It's basically just a mix of your darks. If you took your red, your brown, your blue, a little black, this is what you'll get. It's in a tube. It's easy. You don't have to mix anything, so I use it quite often. And then we're going to have some sap green for our highlights, cad yellow, Indian yellow, yellow ochre, and then I've got a little bit of phthalo green, which we'll use to highlight our bushes as well. So the first thing we're going to do is smash in some underpainting, and we will do that with the mountain mix. I also find it quite helpful, instead of having to stick your brush into these bigger piles, take your knife and just pull a little bit out and wipe your knife, and then do that for each pile. So we'll pull the green out a little bit, yellow, Indian yellow, yellow ochre, and phthalo green. This way, you can just dip into a little bit of the paint and you don't overwhelm your brush. All right, now there are many ways you can put the under paint in. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Like I said, anyway, any brush. I'm going to show you what I do with a 1-inch brush, and then also with an oval brush. So we'll take the 1-inch and we'll go into some of this mountain mix. One way you can do it is kind of how Bob would do it. He'd pull through the paint in one direction, loading up the bristles, as you can see, and then turn the brush upwards, and then just push in your underpaint. So maybe here, just blow in a couple shapes like so. And basically here, I just took a canvas, put a little liquid white on it, put some blue so I'd have a little background, and just push in a couple shapes like that. Now you can also just tap the corner. Just tap it right into your paint, and then you can put your bushes in this way as well. But just kind of like that. Just tapping in whatever shape you want. Maybe have a little more color on that. Turn it up a little bit. Okay. You can also use, like I said, you can use anything you want. The oval brush, you just pull through, tap it in there. You get both sides. Tap, push the bristles forward. Just tap it in there. And you can also use this for some cool kind of shapes. So we got that. Some of that paint off of there. Okay. And we'll continue on with the oval. Just pull through, tap, tap, tap. Let's see what we'll do. Maybe we're going to have one here. Like that. Okay. And then we'll go back to the 1 inch. And you can do it this way too. You can just kind of get your color on there. And if you want, you could tap straight up. Just like this. Get some little edges on there. Okay. And then we'll come back through. Just tap the top corner. Maybe we'll have something right here too. Now you could just make all of this very dark and just separate the bushes with your highlights. I'm just trying to give you a couple of ideas what you can do in putting in your base color in. So maybe something like that. All right, we'll have a little mound of bushes there. Now for the sake of this little painting, I'm going to go back here. Now that we have a general idea where our bushes are, and just fill in some of these darker areas so that we don't have lighter areas showing through between these where it's going to be dark. So we'll just kind of darken those little sections up, and we can still see our basic shapes here. We'll probably put some grass underneath there. Now let's get to the highlighting. I have added some liquid white to help thin my colors. But let's talk about real quickly what mistakes I see a lot of beginners make. And that's not using enough paint when you're highlighting. You got to have a lot of paint in your bristles. If you don't, it's just not going to work. So let me grab to show you here. I'm going to grab just an oval brush, and let's say we're going to highlight, and we'll grab a little bit of the liquid white, okay, and then maybe we're going to come up here into, maybe we'll do an easier color to, because I want to make a mistake here on purpose. Let's just go into some of this yellow. So I'll pull this yellow, and this is a mistake I see. So you pull down, you get this yellow, and this is what you're tapping into. Okay. Now when you come up to the bush and you touch, what happens? There's not much there. So what do? You push harder. Okay. Now we got little smear marks, right? So it's just, see that? Nothing's coming off because I don't have enough paint. So we'll come back here, just grab a paper towel and wipe this away. This yellow. Now we'll come back with a little bit of that dark and replace that. So now let's show you what you should do. So maybe on this first bush here, let's decide on a color, and that which brings me to another point, color mixing, and we'll talk about that a little bit. A lot of times, I'll see beginning painters, and they get their liquid white, and then they go, ochre, Indian yellow, yellow, green, back to yellow, back to Indian yellow, back to ochre, back to there, back. And by the time they make that pass 3 or 4 times, they got a brown, muddy color. You'll notice when Bob did it, he would just pick a little bit of a color up and bring it in, and he never overmixed. So what I recommend as a beginner is just use yellow with a touch of green to start, or yellow with a touch of yellow ochre, Indian yellow, or Indian yellow with a touch of green. Try not to get too crazy on your mixing. So first thing we'll do is we're going to grab a little bit of this mountain mix in my brush. Okay. Oh, sorry. Grab a little bit of liquid white first in there. My brush, I'm going to give just a little bit of the dark, and then I'm going to come through the yellow. Now, I want to pull a good amount of this yellow down. I'm going to grab a little bit of the green, not too much. Okay, a little bit of the green, a little more liquid white. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is tap bring a little more paint down. Is tap the bristles up here close to that pile, right? So we're just going to tap the tip of the bristles. Okay, and when we get that little bush shape in the paint, you've got that in your bristles. Now, just using the top corner of the bristles, we're going to come up here. Make sure you can see this good. Okay, and we're going to come right above your dark. Okay, and the light's coming this way, so we want the right side of the bush to be a little more brighter. So again, that corner that we tapped, okay, I know Bob would do pushing up. I don't do the push-ups. They tend to get splotchy. But if we, with this mix just right, we're going to come up here and just touch. See? Touch. Then a little gentler on the backside. Okay? We'll get a little more paint. Not too much. Just a little more. Maybe this bush comes down and up a little bit here. Just touching. See? Just a gentle touch. On the back side of the bush, very light. Not as much color back here. Okay? Once you do it once, don't go over it. Leave it. You're good to go. All right, so we'll move on. So let's come up here and get this big guy here. So, and again, the colors are your choice. Maybe we'll do what we had, a little bit of this yellow, pull it out, and we'll come and just grab a little bit of this, not too much. A little bit of the Indian yellow, just to change the flavor. And we're just going to tap the tips of the bristles. Steal a little green, let's darken that just a little bit. There we go. Tap the tips of the bristles till you see the paint, the bush, and the paint. Just like that, and that's what we got right there. Just using the top corner. Again, so we'll come above these little marks. Okay, we're going to tilt the brush and just touch. It's very light up here. Okay. Let's get some more color. Tap. And come right below that. A little lighter on this side. A little more color. And just gentle touches. Okay? Excellent. Let's move on. Now maybe we'll come over and get this one over here. Maybe on this one we're going to grab a little bit of this phthalo green, just a little bit, and come back into this. I like putting a little phthalo green in my bushes. It adds a little glow to them. Okay, so we're going to tap, again, getting the bush in our paint. Make sure you got enough paint. If you don't have enough paint, you're going to have to push your bristles in hard and you're going to have problems. Okay, so we got a nice load of paint here. Now we'll come over here. And again, just above your dark, just touch. A little gentler on this side. There we go. I want to get a little more color out here on the tips. I really like to splay those bristles out. You can be aggressive with it. There we go. And again, try not to keep going over it. Couple touches, move on. Good. All right. So now we're going to grab. I tell you what, we'll stick with the 1 inch. A little more. We're going to grab some of the Indian yellow and come over here. Just get need a little more liquid white. A little Indian yellow. Again, tap, tap, tap. The tips of the bristles and get them splayed out. Okay, maybe this bush is going to be a little more flat. And he's going to kind of cut in front of this one where it gets dark here. So we'll touch, leave a little bit of that dark area. And bring him right in front. Get a little more color. Like that. There we go. And a little lighter on this side. Not as much. Okay, very good. All right. Now, we'll jump to our oval brush. So we'll get a little liquid white. Oh, got a loose hair. A little liquid white on our oval. And let's go through some of this green. A little bit of the phthalo green. Steal a little yellow. And here, load up both sides. Get a load of more paint. Steal a little more liquid white. Okay, back through. A little more liquid white. And we're just going to push into that paint. Yeah, get a little ridge of paint at the end. Tap it in there. I kind of like to tap it to the side to get any clumps off of there. Okay. Now let's come in here. And maybe we got a bush that's right here. Like that. There we go. Okay, and then we'll change the flavor a little bit. Maybe we'll go with a little bit of that Indian yellow. Pull that out. A little liquid white. Okay, just tap into it. Just tap into it. Tap this side a little bit, get some of that color off. Okay, come over here. And again, leaving a little dark in between. This kind of does nice hang-me-downs. Like that. There we go. And then if you wanted to, you could come back and maybe even take like a little bit of straight yellow. Get it out in the tips there. And then you could highlight some of the tops of these just by touch. Maybe it's catching a little bit of the light. Okay, so we'll come back. A little phthalo. Just tap. Okay, and maybe we'll come over here. Maybe a little bush that comes over like this. Grab some more of that phthalo into the green. Push. Get that ridge of paint. And maybe this. So off to the side. And let's come over to the other side. Maybe he's hanging off the end. Sometimes it's good to leave a little bit of a dark bush here and there. But we'll just touch him off. Like he's growing off like that. And then, like I said, if you wanted to come back and separate some of this, like if you went a little heavy, with your pressure. You can come back with just a little more lighter color, a little bit of white, mixed with that green. Okay, just get a little ridge, of paint on there, and then you could touch where you want a little bit of definition or separation. And you can even come back if you wanted to add a little dark, just to kind of add a few shadows here or there. And there you have it. I think we're going to leave it just like this. Bunch of bushes hanging out in the middle of nowhere. Thank you again so much for joining me and painting along with me. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, share the video. It really helps with my channel. And remember, a good dark base, thin your highlight colors, and a lot of paint in your bristles. And it'll take you a long way. So give this one a try, please, and let me know how you did. I'd appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. All the best.